Welcome back to My Mommy First YouTube channel. Today I'm with Galina Kalinina, my friend. She's an ICF certified life coach. We are here at her office in the lounge room. So you might see people walking back and forth, making their coffee, rolling out the garbage. So thank you for allowing us to do what we want to do, which is to film this episode where we talk about how to get from struggle to inner peace and how to find that balance between work, life, and motherhood. So today, before I get into the crux of it, I basically want to share with you how we come to know each other. So Galina reached out to me, and at that time, I had no idea what life coaching is. So she said, I'm a life coach, and then in my head, I'm just like, what is that? So if you have the same question, Galina, why don't you tell us a little bit what life coaching is?
For me personally, life coaching is a process of two people coming together where a life coach is asking thought-provoking questions and trying to help the other person to find the answers that he or she didn't know that she or he had at that moment. And it's almost like you're helping people to find their dreams and make them become a reality. And it's a very wonderful process, and it's a completely different way of living a life.
Bringing it back, the topic that I posed to Galina when we first met was, at that time of my life, I was really overwhelmed. So when Galina explained to me what life coaching is, I just basically asked her back. So let's say I am your client, I'm sitting here in front of you, what are some things that you would ask me? And she just said, well, this is Galina's tone as well. That really depends on what you want to talk about. So I said, all right, I'm feeling overwhelmed with work, life, and motherhood. I want to be able to work in my own time, and then I want to have enough time to spend with my kids. And within 30 minutes of Galina asking me questions, I knew what to do. And just having that questions from Galina gave me the clarity to know what I need to do to find balance. So this is why I'm so excited to have this conversation with her today. Now that we know a little bit about life coaching, I actually want to rewind a little bit. Why is it as mums we have so much guilt and has such difficulty finding that balance?
There are multiple ways to answer that question, and in order to kind of unpack it in a very nice and gentle way, I'm going to share my personal story, because to introduce this concept, you have to understand that there are two ways of living your life. One is either you live it as doing, or another one is you would be living as being. We've lived our entire life, probably 99%, in the doing. Basically means you're only focused on getting stuff done, results, executes, especially if you're a working mom. Parenting is actually a very different story. It is about living the life in the being, because when you have a child, you don't necessarily see that you can get tangible things done, right? So when you take care of your child, when you go for a walk, it's not that you can produce something that you can feel immediately. And this is what shocks a lot of moms in the very early stages of the motherhood, is the shift that they haven't been prepared to move away from doing into the being. So yesterday, even myself, after all the years of being in the coaching and helping the clients, I caught myself in a very interesting thought. We were going downstairs to the playground with my kids, and I was having this thought in my head, okay, today is Sunday. I'm not going to be able to do anything for work. I'm not going to be able to finish my website pages, my Facebook pages, and I started feeling this anxiety building up in myself, and I was like, what is this voice inside of me? Who is this talking? And I knew that it was the doing voice that wants me to just go and get this stuff done. But because being with my kids is the being that doesn't produce a tangible result, that brought me completely out of the balance. And I asked myself a question, well, I've got two choices. I either can look at the time that I spent with my kids as non-tangible thing and continue feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or I can look at this as the being concept and say, this is my investment. This is my investment in the time, in the future, something that I can never get back, return back, replenish, something totally invaluable. And when I'm with my kids, I make a conscious choice to be with the kids. So this is the part where a lot of moms really have this feeling of a guilt, because they don't know how to get the balance, or how to strike this balance between doing and the being. Does that answer your question?
So what do you need to do in order to get that balance?
Well, you've experienced that yourself. One thing I can tell you for sure, you're not going to get the answers from other people. If you're going to walk over and say, Galina, tell me how to get it, I don't have an answer for you, because I have it. But what worked for me might not necessarily work for you. Or what worked for Gail is not going to work for you guys. So you will have to go somewhere very deep inside of you and ask yourself a question. What is it what I really, really, truly, honestly want? Because that's the only person and the place that knows the true answer. And if you find that place, then ultimately you know what your balance or the secret formula of having the non-guilt life being a mom and what it looks like.
I guess maybe I could share what mine looked like when I had that conversation with you. So at the time, I was kind of running around all over the place. My day was super broken up, where in the morning I would train my client, and then I'd go into the office, and then come back to the gym and train another client. So I was just kind of running around and then
all over the place.
All over the place. And I was basically trying to run home to get back so that I could hang out with my daughter at the time. I didn't have the son then. And I was really unhappy with that. I was stressing out about like going home to make it before she goes to sleep. I was feeling guilty because I was getting home so late that I didn't have time with Vivian because she was going to bed. One of the questions that Galina asked me was,
how much time would make you feel good about spending with your kids that's going to allow you to feel like you're in balance, right? So how much time do you want to spend on yourself doing your work that you really love, and how much time do you want to spend with your kids? And put them on kind of like two plates, negotiable and non-negotiable. So some of the things that you would never ever want to give away or trade off. And that's something that started creating this framework for you, like, okay, well, my most valuable things are my kids, and this is going to be something I will keep protected. And then you started designing your work schedule around that concept.
Exactly. So I start designing my calendar so that I say, in the morning, these days are the days I'm going to spend the morning with Vivian, and in the afternoon, basically, I'm not going to take anything beyond 4 o'clock because then I have to rush and I don't want to rush. So that really gave me the clarity, brought me back to balance, actually. Another point, actually, I read recently, if there's different things in your life going on, where there's like getting enough sleep, work, working out, spending time with friends, hanging out with your family, you need to only pick 3. What are your thoughts around that, Galina?
Right. I'll tell you, whoever says that, they probably found their formula and their perfect way of finding their life balance, which is great. If I were to do that for myself, I still will be left with a feeling like something is missing out and I don't have it all. But realistically speaking, every one of us can have it all, because all of us have a different definition of what it takes to have it all. I personally would always go and ask myself a question: what are the things that will really make me happy? And I will try to carve some pieces and elements of that and build it into my working day. Like you just shared your story of how you designed your day. My ideal day 2 years ago, when I had a coaching session myself with my coach, when she asked me a question, I was like, can you just write it down? What does your ideal dream day looks like? And I told her, I was like, I don't think I can have it. I don't think it's possible. I was like, well, but tell me, how much time do you really want to work? I was like, ideally, I would like to do it the Dutch way. Well, my husband is Dutch, and in Holland, everybody knows that they work maximum, I think, 6 hours per day. That was my dream. I want to work from 9 till 3. And after this, it's just my time for myself with my kids. But 2 years ago, I said, it's not possible because I've never tried it. And if you have never tried it, you can't even decide or judge whether you can have it or not. And that's one of the things that actually makes moms guilty. And just going back to what we started with, it's really about you trying it out, right? You can continue sitting and thinking, oh, I should be this, I should be that, I want all of those things, but I can't have it. But the only thing that separates you from having those things is starting to try them out.
Okay, now I have a question. So many moms are an employee working at an office. They might be thinking, well, you have your own business, so it's easy for you to work for 6 hours, clocking out at 3. It's not possible for me because I work in a company. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that sounds like a coaching session. Right? It's one of those situations where I would invite the person or the mom to sit down with me and say, would you like to talk about the things that are possible? Because we can continue talking about the things that are not possible, but they're not going to make you move anywhere forward. And I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. Is there anything else that you haven't considered yet? Is there anything else that you haven't tried out yet? And surprisingly, every single person asks this question, they will say, oh yeah, there is something. And for every single person it will be a different item. And that's exactly what I mean. It's trying those little things, or little baby steps that you would be taking. That's what makes the difference. That's what makes moms shift.
Share with me. I heard you said 2 years ago working 6 hours was not possible for you because you were at the office. So maybe just give us an example of what did you end up doing?
Well, my coach asked me exactly the same questions. My answer to her was that I can't have it because there is nobody else who is working in my company 6 hours a day. So it's not going to be allowed. And she asked me, okay, well, have you ever asked if it will be possible for you? And have you ever considered the possibility that you will be the first one? I said, like, no, it never occurred to me. Would you be willing to go and ask for it? I was like, well, it sounds very scary, but it's a possibility. So a month later, when I had all the courage and I prepared myself for this conversation, I popped up that question. And it turned out, yeah, well, think about it. Let me explore it. I never received a firm answer, no, but it was an open conversation. And by the time I finished that conversation, I felt like, you know what, it really doesn't matter whether I'm going to get it or not. What really matters is that I asked, that I took control of my own destiny and started creating the reality for me living my mom's guilt-free life. And that's what really was important at that stage.
So it sounded to me like you need to know what it is that you want, what makes you happy first, allowing yourself to imagine what that perfect balance looks like, and then take the steps.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that a lot of moms don't do. They don't allow themselves to imagine. They don't allow themselves to dream that they can have this, because they already start saying, I can have it, it's not possible, it's not available, it just doesn't happen to anybody, right? So why would I be the first one somebody is going to create an exception for? Why not? I'm going to reveal one of the tools that I'm using with my clients, and I call it a very simple tool, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's actually a very powerful tool, especially if you're doing it together in the group. If you have a friend, you can do it together, or sometimes I even bring several moms and we all sit down and we start sharing our results of this exercise and activity, because it starts sparkling everyone like, oh, I haven't thought about this. Oh, it sounds like I want that too. I haven't even thought about this because I thought it's not possible and it's not available for me. So it's a very simple exercise where we go through the list of different areas of your life, and usually it's about 8. It could be from the career, professional, parenting, love, relationships, financial stuff, and we go through the goal setting process. I would be asking you questions. So in the next 5 years from now, who do you want to be in your parenting, or what would you like to have in your parenting? Or 5 years from now in your career, who do you want to become? What do you want to be different in your career area of life? And you will be writing down everything that just comes out. And I will always encourage you to have no limits. Just imagine that there are no limits. If you had the magic wand and if you were a superwoman that can make everything happen in a life, just write it down. But this is where a lot of people just stop. 5 years goal and then never come back to revisit. So that's why we take it to the next level. 4 months. In the next 4 months, in order for you to feel like you're going towards your 5 years plan and objectives, what would you like to do? What is the most realistic thing for you to see happening? And we write down the same against all the goals and objectives. Then 3 weeks plan. In the next 3 weeks, what would you like to start doing to get to your 4 months plan? In the next 2 days, what would you like to commit to make you feel like you're moving towards your objectives for the 5 years plan, 3 weeks and 4 months? And the last piece, 1 hour. After we finish this conversation, the next 1 hour, what are you gonna do? And it really becomes actionable, tangible, and there is no way for you to get out of it because you have externalized it, and you had a couple of peers sitting next to you where you basically committed to everyone, I'm gonna make that happen.
So basically, you break down what you really ideally want, like what you dream of, and then break it down so that it no longer stay a dream. Like how do you create that reality?
Yep.
So that's your secret sauce, Galina. Is there something you wish someone told you before you become a mother?
So many things, but there is one thing that I wished somebody really told me, and we touched on this just a minute ago. It's actually, don't do it alone. And there is one thing that I discover every single time when I have my either talks or coaching sessions or workshop with moms and the parents. When they sit down, when they start sharing something that is happening in their life, and then they hear another parent saying, oh my God, I have the same thing happening. I'm so glad I'm not alone. And when that happens, suddenly the door of opportunities and possibilities start opening up for other people. And it's like, it feels great to know that I'm not the only one who struggles. And that opens up the conversation at a completely different level. It makes us humans. And that's the thing. For some reason, we believe that being a parent, being a mom, we need to be perfect. But perfection doesn't exist. You don't have to be perfect in order to be a brilliant parent. And you can let go of all the imperfections, whatever have been holding you back, because it's okay to be who you are. And that's what our kids are looking and learning from us, just being who we are.